Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inside LSU Baseball. I'm your host, Jason Armstrong, and we are down to the nitty gritty, folks. LSU advances out of the regional, and we are a couple of days away from LSU taking on West Virginia in a super regional with Omaha at stake. What an exciting time to be an LSU Tiger fan. And if I'm being honest, I don't know that I've felt that much concern, those type of knots in my stomach, the realization that we were very close to no more baseball being played this year had me almost sick, okay, at one point on Monday. So to go from that feeling that you had in about the third inning to the comeback that we witnessed, what was one of the best feelings that you could have. So just an awesome. I don't care who the opponent is. I really don't. Just an awesome job of overcoming adversity. And when it's all said and done, all that matters is that you won and you advanced. You think back, like nobody remembers last year that Tennessee was in a winner take all game against Evansville, that they were pushed to the brink like that. No, it doesn't matter. They advanced and they won the World Series. So, and I think more people will remember this regional for what Little Rock was able to do. And just to kind of set the outline for this episode, I want to just briefly touch, just kind of recap, not just the games, because we all know what happened, but just maybe some things that stood out to me and that'll help going forward. And then I want to give just a really good look at West Virginia. So, but let me start by just saying that's one of the most impressive jobs of a team, just playing above their talent level and coming in ready to play that I've seen. I mean, and just watching this LSU team play for, all these games year after year, that team should not have had any business. First of all, they shouldn't have beaten Rhode Island. And then what they did to Dallas Baptist, when they did that, I'm thinking, oh, good, we're going to have an easy finals. And I mean, just kudos. I actually played ball in college for 2 years against Chris Curry. He was a great catcher. And man, I'm a fan for life of Little Rock. And I really hope that what they did helps them in recruiting. I hope that all their best players don't jump ship, that they stay loyal. I'm sure some will. But again, just a great weekend to be able to advance like that. And it started off really, first two games, LSU looks like the best team in the country. You look around at what's going on. This was the wackiest NCAA tournament I can remember watching. The amount of, high seeds losing the first games and getting eliminated. And look, it wasn't, I know that's a big narrative. It was the SEC. Look, Oregon got eliminated. It wasn't just the SEC. I mean, Oregon State lost their first game to St. Mary's. It was just chaos. That's just what it was. And when you have 13 teams in the tournament, you have more chances for something squirrely to happen. But regardless, just the first two games, LSU looks like the most consistent team in the country while other teams are having struggles. But then, the next two games, it caught up to LSU. But look, overall, it was almost like you had different guys stepping up as a hero in each game. Just to quickly go through this, game one, you get the 7-0 win over Little Rock. Ianson was brilliant. He got the game one start. And Danny Dickinson hit 2 home runs. It was evident right off the bat that this was going to be a different Derek Curiel, a different Stephen Milam. They were locked in. They did a really nice job game one, just getting off to fast starts. And again, I mentioned it. Ianson went 7 2/3, gives up 5 hits, only 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He's just so good. He's just so good. Game two, this really surprised me because I thought that Dallas Baptist was going to be a formidable foe. I really did. That was an offense that was talented. They had good arm talent. And that was just a dud. I mean, if I'm a Dallas Baptist fan or a coach, that was a very disappointing showing for Dallas Baptist to then go on and to get beat the way they got beat. I just wasn't impressed one bit with them. LSU beats them 12-0. I thought Michael Buckham's stuff actually looked pretty good. He wasn't finding the zone. And when that happens and you start pitching behind, bad things happen. But Kate Anderson shut down a really potent Dallas Baptist line, made him look not good at all. What did Anderson go? 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts. So just an excellent job by him. Ethan Fry, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Stanfield, 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs in his first home run of the year. So after the first 2 games, Milam, Curiel, and Stanfield had reached base 20 times in 26 plate appearances. They had 10 hits, 10 runs scored, 8 walks, and 1 hit by pitch. They only struck out once. So when you start getting that type of production from some of the guys that really have not been doing well for you, you could tell it was going to be a good weekend, and that was going to just catapult them going forward in the rest of the postseason. So game 3, you lay a dud. You get out to a 3-0 lead. Little Rock comes back, and, you're down, I think it was like 6-3. You call back to 6-4, but they tacked on at the end. It just wasn't a good night of pitching. I think LSU walked, 10 or 11 guys. That was the story. Cooper Williams was the bright spot. I've talked about him for months now. I really like what this kid has. I think he's going to be a major factor going forward. But Cooper Williams went 3 2/3, gave up 3 hits, only 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Excellent job by him. That was the bright spot, really, of that game. And it was unfortunate because, Jaden Newt had been so good. I think he had a good first inning, and then the second inning, he gives up the homer. Wasn't a bad pitch. He gave up the homer to Angel Cano. Then he walked the guy, gave up a double, and then they yanked him. Shores comes in. Look, Shores gave up, I think, 4 earned runs. He gave up 1 hit. It was all just control. And so I guess that's the positive, is that his issue was more control. It wasn't that they were hitting him around. He was still throwing 100, still had 2 strikeouts. It was just a bad outing. I think both of those guys, it's just a bad outing. So we can, no need to go back to doubting the pitching staff and all that good stuff. But look, LSU had 11 hits. So it wasn't like they didn't swing the bat, and for the weekend, they had 11 hits, 10 hits, 11 hits, 11 hits. So 43 hits. They hit 295 with 7 home runs. It's not terrible. Not bad at all, actually. So you get to, and by the way, at the plate, Milam had 2 hits. Luis Hernandez had 3 hits that game. So again, you're seeing other guys step up production from kind of like a new guy every night. And then you get to the final game. And there were so many people that just stood out. For one, Case and Evans was spectacular. So everybody wondered, all right, we got Case and Evans, we got Zach Cowan left. It's probably going to be Case and Evans gets to start. Zach Cowan's going to come in relief because he hasn't started a game. Jay Johnson went the opposite route. And I know a lot of people questioned that. I even wonder, why would he start Cowan when he hasn't started? And Evans has started. And I thought his response was very, very good. He just said that following Zach Cowan, obviously the plan was for Cowan to get into the 4th inning or so, but following Cowan, he didn't believe that Little Rock could handle Case and Evans' aggression and the way that, he attacked them and filled up the strike zone, and which was true. I mean, so we saw that play out. So maybe Jay Johnson's smarter than we all think. Of course he is. All right. But Evans didn't have a good start. I think got knocked out, in the 2nd inning. Again, it was all about his control, just not pitching from ahead in the count, and we'll talk more about that. But look, just an excellent job by Evans. I think his final line, 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 12 strikeouts. Just unbelievable. He had 9 straight strikeouts at one point. He had the split finger working, the slider working. He's virtually like unhittable when he's got those pitches working. Very excited going on from here, having those 3 starter type of pitchers. Whether you use Evans as a reliever or not, you have really good options still. Really still high on this pitching staff. And then story of the game, you're down 5-1 after a disastrous start. Colin gets pulled. Evans comes in. They get the error. They get the bloop to center field, and it's 5-1, and I'm sick to my stomach, okay? Then you got Ethan Fry hits a bases clearing double in the, 4th inning to make it a 1-run game. You tied it in the 6th. Luis Hernandez, who hits inside pitches better than anybody. You ever notice it doesn't even look like he's getting his hands extended? That inside pitch he can turn on. He almost looks like he's got alligator arms, but he hits the ball with power when it's inside like that. So he goes deep. You took the lead in the 7th after Ethan Fry then doubled. And then Milam drove him in on a ground ball up the middle. And then Hernandez gave you insurance in the 8th with another home run. And then Jones put the dagger in him with a 2-run shot in the 9th. You also scored another one. So you win the game. Was it 10-6, I believe. So just an awesome job of coming back. And I think it was good losing that first game in a way, because you had to see what's going to happen when we get driven. In Omaha, you're going to have to win more than 3 if you lose a game. So having to go deeper into the pitching staff, and I think that was actually beneficial. And this team has showed us all year long that they can battle back and they can handle adversity and that they can come back. So we shouldn't have been surprised, but we were all scared to death, me included. I had major Chapel Hill vibes when back to last year, how Gage jumped, had Helmers gave the outing of his career. And then Jump comes in the last inning to get the final outs. Well, that's what happened with Ianson. And I'm telling you, when they had first and second, Ianson was 3-0 on their batter. They had a left-handed hitter up. They had runners on first and second, and it's a 7-6 game. So he's a pitch away from walking the bases loaded. I couldn't even watch. I was peeking from my bathroom, looking behind the frame. And when he battled back to 3-2, and he threw that pitch on the inside, and the ump gave like this delayed strike 3, I came unglued. I went nuts. What a moment right there. What a frame job by Hernandez to steal that call right there. But just wow. Just what a weekend overall. But to get the win, to come out on top, that's all you can ask for. Now, overall, offensively, like the main, I think, performers, Luis Hernandez, 8 for 15. That's 533. He had 5 RBIs, a double, and 2 home runs. Ethan Fry was unbelievable. He went 4 for 4 in the finals game, and he walked. So he got on base all 5 times. Just ridiculous weekend. 6 RBIs, 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run. And what a job he is doing down the stretch. He is a legit, real problem that this LSU lineup needed. Milam was 5 for 12. That's a 4.16 average, 3 RBI, a double, 6 bases on balls, and a hit by pitch. So you got Milam stepping up now, Hernandez. Fry's kind of been that guy. And then Curriell's back, guys. He's back. 6 for 15. It's a 400 average, 2 RBIs, 2 doubles, 6 bases on balls. So that is going to be very hard, for other teams to deal with, because now you still got Jones. And look, I know Jones has had the struggles, but you don't need Jones to go 3 for 4. He might have a game where he did. He had 2 games where I think he had 2 multi-hit games, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he had 4 hits on the weekend. So I believe he had 2 multi-hit games. But You just got it spread out. You got a lot of guys kind of contributing. Now, let's talk about the guys who didn't have great pitching performances, because I know it's easy to go, oh, man, we lost all the ground we had gained. Newt was not working down. When he's at his best, he's working down. I don't know if the nerves got to him, but he was just he wasn't pounding the zone like he usually does. And that split finger was missing up a lot. And the fastball to Angel Cano hit over the fence was a good pitch. It ran down and in, but he just got a hold of it. But I no need to lose hope in him. I think he'll be fine. Chase Shores, I already mentioned it. It was more of a control thing for him. And then Zach Cowan, look, he hasn't pitched good in weeks. I get that. I don't think that was the best moment for him. I thought he would have to be big, but he hasn't started all year. So that was his first start. And then, look, I know it's good to rest guys, but like, I also think there's something to be said for keeping guys in the groove. And I'm not second guessing at all, but I think he's just rusty. He needs confidence, because that's now 4 out of his last 5 outings have either he's taken the loss or started the game and we were way behind when he exited the game. He needs like a clean inning, okay? Or like to come in behind a hard thrower and get a couple outs and get confidence to where he's not nibbling. He's not thinking his fastball has to be so perfect, because he just hasn't experienced success lately. And that's all it is one good outing away. Do not give up on Zach Cowan, all right? So that's enough about the recap. I want to talk about this West Virginia team and give you kind of a first look. Now, I posted a Twitter thread today, and I kind of went through a lot of the things about this team. In case you didn't see that, I know everybody doesn't listen to podcasts and look at Twitter. So I'll kind of touch on some things that I think are important. But just to give you an overview, West Virginia is a very, very solid team. Overall, they're 44-14 on the year. They were 19-9 in the Big 12. This is the most successful 3-year run in program history, okay? And they have senior leadership that has been there through all 3 years of this. You got Grant Hussey, Sam White, Logan Save. These guys are really good players, and they provide a lot of good leadership. So they've won 2 Big 12 championships in the last 3 years, and they've been in 2. This is their second straight super regional. Last year, they were was it last year that they won the Arizona regional as a 3 seed? Yeah, and then they played North Carolina in the Super. That's right, because we would have hosted them if we would have won Chapel Hill. And they lost an 8-6 game and a 2-1 game to North Carolina. So very game team, and this is a very good program on the up and up. This is Steve. I think it's Saban's first year after Randy Mazey retired. So he's been there for years, doing a great job. Now, this team lost superstar in the number 7 pick in the Major League Baseball draft, J.J. Weatherholt. They lost slugger Reed Chumley, but they returned like 7 starters from last year's team, and that was a very good team, all right? So you got a ton of experience back on the mound. Both of their starters are seniors. One of them is a 5th-year senior. Their top reliever is a senior, and then the guy with the 4th most innings is a junior. So lots of experience all the way around. I'll get into more specifics on their players a little bit later. In 2025, this West Virginia team has gone 24-5 in road games. That is the most road wins in Division I this year, all right? I mentioned they won the Big 12 regular season, started the season 18-1. They had a 17-1 stretch between like late April and May. So they've gone on 2 tremendous runs. They did have a string entering the Big 12 tournament, kind of the end of the year, where they got swept by Kansas. They had lost like 6 out of 7. They go into the conference tournament. I think they beat Cincinnati and lost to Arizona, so they went 1-1. But then they go into Clemson Regional and they go 3-0. All right. In all 3 games, I mean, these guys are scrappers. They were either tied or behind in the 8th inning. I know, I believe game 1 against Kentucky, they were down 3-0, came back, won 4-3. The last game against Kentucky, they were down 12-7 in the 8th inning, I think. I mean, that's wild. And then the Kentucky game, they actually got out to a lead. Clemson got the lead back, and then they went on to win that game. So just a really good opponent. A really good opponent. Offensively, they're very good. Very good. 1 through 9. They've got 5 guys hitting over 300, and then they've got 4 guys hitting like between 287 and 298. So, it's not like they've got a big drop off. And they're very difficult to match up with because they go like lefty, righty, lefty, righty. I think they got like 5 left-handed hitters in the lineup. So I'll tell you about a couple. Veteran catcher Logan Save is a tremendous player. And I mentioned between him, Grant Hussey, who plays some first base, utility guy Sam White, who's been like DHing. They've been there all 3 years, so provide very good veteran leadership. And you need older teams. The teams that do well in the postseason are old. They've got experience. And so this is a team that's experienced the postseason, and they've got veteran players who've been around for a while. So it's a very, very, proven lineup, and they've got veteran arms. So going to be tough to deal with. They hit 299 as a team. I mentioned the 1 through 9 balance attack. They did a great job, especially the bottom of the lineup in the regional. All right. And when you don't have drop off at the bottom of your lineup, that makes you very tough. Very tough. Shortstop Brody Kresser was 6 for 13 out of the 8-hole in regionals. Emerging third baseman Armani Guzman, he wasn't even really playing all the time. He's a very speedy left-handed hitter, hitting in the 9-hole, leads the team with 16 steals. He went 8 for 12. I want to say he was like the tournament MVP, hitting 337 on the year. And look, you get to the top of the lineup, the pressure doesn't let off because Junior Skylar King, who's been there for years now, I mean, he's another left-handed batter. He can really run. Second on the team with a 424 on-base percentage. This is a very strange stat to me because West Virginia has stolen a lot of bases, 108. So that's a top 50 team stealing bases. But the leadoff batter, King, he has been caught stealing 10 times. So he's stolen 13 bases and he's been caught 10 times. That's wild. That's not a very good percentage. Back to the catcher, Logan Save. This is a guy that had a significant amount of attention from pro teams last year. He was a draft-eligible sophomore. And when you look at it, like, of all, players that had a decision to make, he's the biggest returning player from a draft perspective in quite some time for West Virginia. So just a really good player. They've got a left fielder, Kyle West, who's 6'4", hits from the left side. A really, really smooth swing. He's got some serious pop. He can put the ball out of the yard. He played 2 years at Division II Charleston. In 100 games, he hit 34 doubles, 10 triples, and 30 home runs. And look, last postseason, he was awesome. He hit 2 home runs against North Carolina in game 1 of that super regional. And he sports a 500 on-base percentage, and he walks a lot. So really good hitter, utility player. He's been playing DH more. He's been DHing. Sam White leads the team with a 352 average, and he doesn't strike out much. He's got a 9.8% strikeout rate. He had the go-ahead hit versus Clemson in the 9th inning. He's just a grinder, man, and he can play anywhere. He's another left-handed bat. I hate these left-handed bats. I just don't like him. Now, Jace Reinhardt was a portal addition from USC Upstate, and he had 17 home runs in 2024, and he leads the team in doubles with 21 doubles, 51 RBIs. He leads the team there too. Typically bats cleanup for the Mountaineers. First baseman, well, he plays first, but and I'll get to this more because he hasn't been in the lineup But Grant Hussey is a West Virginia legend. All right. This is a guy who holds a high school record and also the most career home runs at West Virginia with 44. He's an experienced, powerful left-handed bat. He's got over 900 career plate appearances. He is a strikeout, risk. He's got like a career strikeout rate of close to 30%. In the regional round, their coach did not start him. They have a guy, junior Benjamin Lumsden, that hasn't been playing all that much, and he was inserted in the regionals, and it paid off. I mean, he's like a 150 hitter, but he had 3 hits, 5 RBIs in the regional, had a really big game, and had a hit in another game. So, but he's a left-handed bat. But these are just a bunch of guys that put the ball in play. They make a lot of contact. They don't walk a whole bunch, all right? So they like to swing the bat. They put the ball in play, and that can give you problems. That can give you problems. It's a matchup problem because it's not like you can bring in a right-handed pitcher because they've got a bunch of right-handed batters in a row. They alternate left, right, so that's difficult to deal with. But I really think it's a talented lineup. Good thing LSU's got really good pitching because they're going to need it. Now, their pitching staff, 75% of West Virginia's innings had to be replaced this year, including 81% of its starts. They have a 4.35 ERA, which is good. That's 23rd in the nation. You're not going to see a bunch of their guys high up on draft boards or leading the nation in different strikeout categories or anything like that. It's just a very good blue-collar staff. That's what they are, all right? They have 2 really good starting pitchers. The bullpen, I find that they lack that stopper, that guy that they can go to just put out a fire. They have 3 top relievers. Only one of them has more strikeouts than innings pitched. That's Chase Myers. I think a real key to the series is going to be getting their starters out the game because Griffin Kern, well, let me tell you about him. He is their ace, all right? This is the second straight year that West Virginia went the D2 route for their ace pitcher, all right? And this is a guy that he's a lefty, 5th-year senior. He started 40 games at Division II Quincy. And he had a really good, so you might say, well, how does that translate against good competition? Had a great summer on the Cape, and that's the Cape Cod League, if you're not familiar. The best amateurs in the country go there. It's a wooden bat league. He started 4 games, had a 2.18 ERA. He's got a 3.13 ERA on the year, 95 innings pitched, and I think he's got like either right at 100 strikeouts, something like that. But his last 4 starts this year, 7 1/3, maybe 7 2/3, 9 inning complete game, 8 innings, 7 innings. He is a workhorse. He actually came back to close the final game of the regional. So, throws low 90s, but can throw the breaking ball, and LSU they tend to have struggles against left-hand. I think everybody does. If you can, left-handed pitchers that can pitch in and out, change speed, are going to give you trouble. So he might not be Kate Anderson, but he doesn't really need to present some problems. Their number 2 starter is right-handed pitcher Jack, I think I'm saying this right, Kartsonis. He led the Big 12 in ERA. Right now he's got a 2.94 ERA. Spent 3 years at Kent State. I watched the guy pitch, man. He sat 94 to 96, and it's like a heavy, heavy fastball. He's got a good hammer breaking ball and a good changeup, but he throws a lot of strikes, got a career 50% ground ball rate, and he's got a great handlebar mustache. So, you got to look the part. Now, when you talk about their bullpen, Reese Bassinger is the guy that they trust the most. They brought him in all 3 of the regional games. He's got 29 appearances on the year. Look, it's low 90s from like a 3/4 slot. I'm not talking like sidearm. It's more over the top, but it's not like right over the top. It's a different release. Got a lot of arm side run. He's got a 4.28 ERA. Only 43 strikeouts in 61 innings. So he's not a guy that's going to come in and blow you away and strike you out. And he's just not. But he's going to throw strikes, maybe get you to ground out and get yourself out. But that's one thing about this bullpen. I think they've got arms they trust, but I don't see any of them where you go, oh gosh, this is a Gabe Gackle, or this is a Brandon Neely from last year, Florida's team last year, or whoever you want to throw, or Dylan Valantis from Texas. They don't have anybody like that. All right. What is the guy's name? Let me look this up, because there is a guy that they brought in a couple of times, Carson Estridge. They brought him in a couple of times. They really like him. He's a right-handed pitcher. He is very heavy breaking ball. So I saw him one night. He couldn't land it. I think he hit a guy, like he got behind the count. They had to yank him fast. Then he came in, and I think he was okay because he was able to land that slider. He throws it over and over and over again. But looking at his stats, they weren't great. As a matter of fact, Bassinger's stats weren't great either. He threw a total of 5 1/3 innings pitched in the regional, and this is their number one reliever. Gave up 13 hits and 6 runs. So, now the one arm that I know Kendall Rogers, doing the season preview and stuff, talked about this guy, gushed over him, and you can see why. It's Chase Meyer. He's a sophomore, and it's probably the best arm. He can get up in the upper 90s. He's got a really good slider. Walks are an issue, all right? He's got an impressive. He's 9-2, primarily as a reliever. I think he might have started 1 or 2 games, but to have 9 wins as a reliever, that's pretty good. A lot of that maybe just right place, right time, but he's surely capable, like a lot of pitchers are. Maybe one day they've got their stuff, one day they don't. But just hopefully he doesn't have it against us. But that gives you an idea. Look, their pitching staff, I'll say it again, they've got 2 very good starters, 2 capable starters. I don't think that they're set up for a game 3 very well, and I think their bullpen is just okay. A lot of their guys have ERAs in the 4, which is pretty good, but from a stuff factor. Now, if they bring in Meyer and he's all over the strike zone, then maybe you got a problem. They got another guy I like too, Robbie Porco, that they started, I think, in the finals game. He can really bring it, but I don't think you could find the strike zone. So they do have a couple of arms, but as far as like proven relievers, LSU is going to have an edge there once they have to go to the bullpen. So, look, just overall, it's a solid team. I think that LSU is more suited for this type of traditional series where it's a 3-game series that they can still – look, they can win it with their first 2 guys, and we don't have to worry about a game 3. I think it's going to be interesting to see, because you have such an edge if you do go to a game 3, if you have a guy like Kason Evans. But if you can win game 1, say with Evans out of the bullpen, do you go to him right away to close the last 2 innings and get that first win? Or do you try to go to somebody else? And so I'm very interested to see how they go about that. But again, I mentioned the first 2 guys you got, Kate Anderson and Anthony Ianson. Listen to this. Over their last 5 starts, so that's 10 total starts, 5 for Anderson, 5 for Ianson. In those 10 starts, they have given up 13 runs. That is ridiculous, all right? That's just ridiculous. These guys are like so good, so consistent. They're going to give LSU an edge when they have a series like this. That's why LSU is so consistent during the regular year. And I think they're going to I think they're going to have success in the Super Regional. Now, you get to Omaha, you've got new situation to deal with. Now, I do want to end with this, and I'm not getting ahead of myself, but if you look at the bracket, fascinating postseason bracket, and you're at the super regional stage, right? You look at the teams that are on LSU side of the bracket. So if LSU were to advance, the teams on LSU side, if Tennessee, Arkansas, the winner of that is in LSU side. So probably the toughest team that LSU could face in the World Series is on our side. And I think if I'm reading this right, that would be your first game you would play. But aside from that, the Duke Murray State regional, super regional, whoever advances, that's LSU side of the bracket in Omaha. The UCLA regional, super regional, UCLA and UTSA, Texas San Antonio. I mean, whoever wins that and advances, that's your side of the bracket. So let's just say it's all chalk, right? So let's say that UCLA advances, Duke advances, and Arkansas advances. That's your side of the bracket in Omaha. I really like that a whole lot. By the way, I think Arkansas is not going to beat Tennessee. I think Tennessee's two best pitchers are better than Arkansas's two best pitchers. In a 3-game series, I like Tennessee. Not that anybody asked. But look, you look on the other side of the bracket, Auburn and Coastal. The winner of that advances. Auburn swept LSU. That's a tough offensive deal with. Coastal probably has the best pitching staff in the country, like an SEC level pitching staff, okay? So if they advance, they're a problem. The Arizona, North Carolina super regional, I think, is extremely intriguing. I called out North Carolina probably a month ago as my surprise team in Omaha, and it's because of their pitching. I mean, you could argue LSU, Coastal, and North Carolina have the 3 best pitching staff. But Arizona's no slouch. Arizona, I think I read that they've given up it was something ridiculous, like 7 runs in the last 7 games. So they're pitching the ball well. Mason White's a superstar shortstop. Summerhill is a superstar. Like, that's a very good Arizona team. That's an intriguing matchup. Then you've got Oregon State against Florida State. My goodness, I cannot wait to watch that one. So 2 really good offenses and 2 high-level, aces. Dax Whitney for Oregon State, Jamie Arnold for Florida State. Florida State's got a couple more starters that are just as good. Let me say, they're not just as good as Jamie Arnold, but like Wes Mendez, the Ole Miss transfer, is very good. He was great against Mississippi State. Vellini has got his stuff back going good again, the lefty. So very intriguing. And then the Miami, Louisville, super regional of 2 ACC teams. I don't think Miami's a great team, but who knows? They've got some good starting pitching. They really do. And I think Louisville, where they struggle, they've got like high end, like Forbes is like a first round talent, their ace, but he hasn't always been consistent. He was consistent, I believe, this past weekend. That's why they're here. But that offense of Louisville is amazing. Amazing. So the other side of the bracket, you're talking about, you could have a Louisville, a Florida State with a loaded offense and 3 great starters, a North Carolina with one of the best, pitching staffs in the country and surprisingly offensive this year. And then, either Auburn or Coastal on that side. So I think when you look at the 2 sides of the bracket, LSU's got a favorable draw. So your regional was very favorable. Now, it came out to be very tough, but let's be honest, if you look at the teams, your super regional matchup, some are considering this the biggest mismatch. LSU having to go against West Virginia. I don't see that, okay? I respect that team, but if you look at betting odds, things like that, I mean, that's a good matchup for LSU. And then you get to Omaha, and it's favorable again. So maybe everything's working out just the way we want it. So, and just a reminder, this weekend, which I think is great, especially if you're a fan of college baseball, you can watch the games tomorrow night that are going on without knots in your stomach, because LSU series is Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Hopefully weather does not become an obstacle this weekend. But that's going to do it. I hope this helps, gives you a glimpse into the West Virginia team. And I'm going to be excited. I know you guys are going to be excited for this weekend. And like always, we will be back here to talk about all the action. And hopefully we will be talking about an LSU series victory and advancing to Omaha. Thanks again, guys, and we will talk to you soon.